Every time I look online for advice about starting a YouTube channel, what I get is just do it, just start, post something. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. This is harder than I thought it would be. Uh, if I was going through YouTube, if I was going through YouTube and I came across a channel with an old guy with a scruffy face wearing a Desert Storm hat, I'd be just like, keep scrolling. I don't want to see that. So I don't blame you if you keep scrolling. It's fine. I'm just getting started. This is my third video. There's actually another video. There's a fourth video on my YouTube channel about race. And if you do, you could stop watching this one right now and go watch that one. I would be very happy. I made some notes about from yesterday about technology that I wanted. I got up early. I got up early to do this. I'm trying to figure out my schedule for this YouTube channel. So this is what you get. All right. I'm sorry. I hope you've had your coffee this morning, or maybe I hope you haven't had your coffee this morning, so that you can just. Ooh, I got to do something. I got to do something with this. I really need to use an avatar or a beauty filter. Okay, now let me try and wake up a little bit. Mm. Uh, Mission of Hope Haiti. If you want to support anybody, I don't have merch. These folks are not sponsoring me, but great organization, Mission of Hope Haiti, and boy, they could use your help now more than ever. Okay. I don't know why I did that, just because that's the coffee cup I was using this morning. All right, notes from yesterday. Let's do this because I got to go to work. Everybody keeps saying technology. You got to keep up with technology, and you got to get on this AI bandwagon, and it's coming. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying. It's just I'm busy. I got life going on here. Um, all right, March 16th, 2026 is when I made these notes. Today's the 17th. So this is for future posterity. When y'all are watching this in the future, when nobody is watching this in the future, what's going on today? Listen, I remember when answering machines came out, and some of y'all don't know what those are. Used to be if you weren't home when somebody called you, you just didn't know they even called. Like the phone was on the wall in the kitchen. Someone would call you if you weren't home. You just never knew that they called unless you saw them later that week and they said, "Hey, I tried to call you." Otherwise, you had no idea. There was no caller ID, there was no messaging system, no leaving a voice message, no texting, nothing. So, um, I remember when answering machines came out. Little known fact, when answering machines very first came out, all right, there was a question as to whether or not they were legal because at that time, was it the state that owned the phone company or the government? It was a quasi-government agency, the phone company. And so there was a law that said something like it's illegal to connect a foreign device to a telephone line. So when the answering machines first came out and people were buying them and hooking them up to their phone, there was a question about the legality of it. So I remember going through all of that. I remember when the internet first got started and you couldn't do anything. You could go to the Macy's website and look at shirts, and that was it. You couldn't buy one. You couldn't see what sizes they had, and if you by chance lived near a Macy's, you couldn't go down there and look at the same shirt that you had seen online because it wasn't there. So I remember all this stuff, and now I'm watching AI, and AI up to this point, y I mean, the top tier people can use it, but you haven't really been able to do anything with it. You can make a picture, like the Macy's shirt. You can make a picture with it, or it can help you write an email or a term paper, but it doesn't really do anything. Well, that's changing now, and so I've been fascinated with OpenClaw, and I just want to make some notes here, and then I'm going to do something a little different because I'm pressed for time. All right, so my notes from yesterday are we for the first time are really struggling to know what's real. We've always had trouble as a species agreeing on reality, what's true and what's not true. But now we have these images and videos online that, uh, you know, up until 2026, you see an image online, you're like, yeah, six fingers, okay, they're defying physics. It's not. It's AI. Everybody knows it's AI. Today, that is not the case. It's getting harder and harder. And um, the first example of this that I remember, and I'm sorry if this is triggering for some people, was the ICE officer who shot the nurse. And I remember seeing the images and the videos coming out not long after that. And there was a debate about whether certain things were happening inside of the video or the images. And I believe what ended up coming out was that somebody had taken the original video, doctored it with AI just enough, and then reposted it as if it were the original, that people questioned, saying, "Hey, it looks like AI generated," or "Look, there's a gun there," or "There's not a gun there," or what. I can't remember the specific arguments. But then people began believing that the altered video was the actual video, and it was the first time that I can remember that we as a society could not figure out if it was real. And that's happened again this weekend in another big way. Again, I apologize if this is triggering, just mentioning the name. Benjamin Netanyahu was allegedly deceased. Somebody online said he was dead. And so he or somebody in his political party posted a video of him at a coffee shop. And the internet went absolutely crazy trying to figure out if the video posted of him at the coffee shop by him and his own people was AI. And we couldn't tell. We couldn't tell. At the same time, uh, I heard reports that China was encircling Taiwan with naval exercises, and that was hard. You had a hard time finding that news. Everybody was talking about whether or not this video was AI. Was Benjamin Netanyahu actually deceased? So I just mark this moment in history when, I don't know what happens to humanity when we don't know what's real anymore. And I think I in my own self, for me, what I notice is that I saw videos of people rioting in Washington D.C. and I just scrolled past it because I assume it's fake. I don't know if it was fake or not. I saw images of people running off a beach at spring break. There was some kind of shooting or something. I just scrolled past it because I assume it's fake. I spend more time trying to figure out if something is real than actually doing, what one of the guys I listened to yesterday, his name's Tom Bilyeu, uh, great show. He said he spends an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out if trying to verify what he's seeing online, that he could be spending that time doing something else. Speaking of that, I was watching Alex Finn um, live stream of the NVIDIA GT6 conference. This was great. This was a great moment about knowing what's real and what's not. Alex Finn, the guy who's having his open claw moment, he's gaining popularity really fast. He wants to live stream the NVIDIA GT6 conference. And so he's got us all waiting. And then when the conference starts, the guy, the keynote speaker gets in there and he starts talking about crypto. And Alex is like, "What? Oh, no, no, no." He had picked a fake stream. There was a fake live stream of the NVIDIA GT6 conference, and where the keynote speaker, the name has escaped me. Pretty important guy for me to forget. Did I mention I'm 55? He was talking about crypto, and it wasn't really him. It was fake. In fact, Alex Finn actually was admiring the guy's coat or his jacket. That's a cool jacket. Yeah, well, it's not real. Oh, my stars. I guess I don't know how they did it. They took the real the real guy and just but voiced over what he was actually saying. So maybe the jacket was real, just not what he was saying. Okay. GTC conference, by the way, by NVIDIA. I misspoke on my last video. It wasn't Google with Nemo Clause, NVIDIA. GT6 stands for GPU Technology Conference. Now, if you just Google what does GTC mean, it means good till canceled. So I don't know why they would make the good till canceled 2026 conference. Oh, my stars. So we're going to talk about NemoClaw here in a moment. It's apparently NVIDIA was talking about partnering, giving us some help with setting up OpenClaw. And since my Mac still isn't here, won't be here until May. Maybe by then it'll be an easy setup, so that'll be nice. And one of the things I just noticed for myself that I got to remember is about clean data. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and the guy was talking about agents needing clean data, and they actually talked about that at the NVIDIA conference. So, all right, so I don't know if this is cheat. It's funny. I'm doing this technology thing, and I used AI to help me because I'm pressed for time, and I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like I'm cheating using technology on my technology channel. Oh, is this a technology channel? Well, okay, sure. I hope. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta shave next time. I don't like anybody's watching. Okay, so here's what I did. I used Grok to generate a couple of images, and I used Notebook LM to give us an audio version of what I wanted to say. Actually, I just gave. So what you do is you go into Notebook LM if you're new to technology, just online. Notebook LM, you can give it sources and it will do some crazy stuff with them. You can talk to the sources, okay? Give it a news article. Say, here's the website news article, and then you can ask it questions about the news article, and it will answer it as if it's a friend of yours who's already read the article sitting there talking to you. And in this case, I had it generate an audio podcast of some sources that I gave it. And I haven't even listened to the whole thing because I got to go get ready for work. And I can't go looking like this. So without further ado, here's the Notebook LM version of this podcast. And it honestly is going to be a lot better than what I just did. So I'm embarrassed. This starting a YouTube channel is harder than I thought it would be. There's a learning curve, and I certainly need to work on my setup. I hope. Oh, my first video got 10 views. It's up to 10 views now. My second one got 4 views. 3 of those were me. This one should get 0, and actually that will be fine with me. We'll call this a dress rehearsal without getting dressed up for it. Y'all have a good day. I gotta go to work.
If you look around like a crowded room of 100 people right now, about 80 of them are completely unaware that the world as they know it it basically just ended.
Yeah, completely oblivious.
Right, because we're so used to technological revolutions being incredibly obvious. Like when the smartphone hit, one day you had this clunky plastic flip phone in your pocket, and the next day, literally every single person in the elevator was staring down at a glowing sheet of glass.
Exactly. The shift was physical. You could actually see it happening in real time.
But what we're living through right now with artificial intelligence it's entirely different. It's the most seismic technological leap in human history, and it is entirely invisible to the naked eye.
It's the absolute definition of a silent revolution. I mean, the actual infrastructure of reality is being rewritten, and the vast majority of society is still, treating it like a neat parlor trick on their web browser.
Yeah. So welcome to today's deep dive. We have a massive stack of sources to go through with you today, and they're going to pull us in some seemingly disparate, wild directions.
Definitely a wild ride today.
We're looking at a recent, highly anticipated tech hardware keynote from NVIDIA. This is at GTC 2026. We've got insights from an in-depth interview with an AI builder and consultant from the Kerner office.
Great interview, by the way.
Oh, incredible. And then, capping it all off, we're pulling from a geopolitical commentary clip from the Tom Bilyeu show regarding a viral, hyper-analyzed internet conspiracy.
And while those might sound like three completely unrelated topics, right, like silicon hardware, workflow software, internet conspiracies.
Right, totally random.
They actually form a perfect, terrifying triangle. They are the three pillars of what is happening right now.
Exactly. And our mission today is to explore this invisible shift. We're talking about the leap from AI as a conversational toy to AI as an autonomous functioning agent.
And how it's just leaving corporate America in the dust.
Totally. And ultimately, we're going to explore the terrifying ways this exact same technology is fundamentally shattering our collective grasp on basic shared reality. Okay. Let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because before we can even begin to understand the new tech, we have to understand the sheer scale of public unawareness.
There is just a staggering gap between the people building the future and the people who are just going about their daily lives. The Kerner office source illustrates this perfectly with what they call the dot chart.
I couldn't stop thinking about this visual when I read it.
It's crazy, right?
It is. So picture a chart in front of you with 200 dots on it. Each of these dots represents 3.2 million people. So that scales up to make the global population of roughly 8.1 billion.
Right.
And the vast majority of these dots, 80% of them, or basically 8 out of every 10 people on Earth, they're completely gray. That gray represents people who have never once, in any capacity, interacted with AI.
Which means the entire cultural conversation about AI taking over the world is happening among just 20% of the population.
Exactly. And it gets even more concentrated. Next to the gray, there's a green band, representing about 10% of the dots. These are the people who have casually used a free chatbot to ask, a recipe question or maybe draft a polite email to their boss.
Just dipping their toes in.
Right. Then, moving further down the funnel, you have this tiny, tiny yellow sliver. We are talking about just 24 million people out of 8 billion who actually pay $20 a month for a premium AI model.
Which is nothing in the grand scheme.
Literally a rounding error. And finally, at the very end of the chart, there is one single tiny red dot. That solitary red dot represents the people actually using AI coding scaffolding to build autonomous software.
And that single red dot is where the entire future of the global economy is being written.
Uh.
But, if you spend your time in a curated social media algorithm, your feed is designed to make you feel like everyone is in that red dot.
Oh, absolutely.
You feel like you're already behind, when realistically, almost nobody is doing this.
And even within that hyper-focused bubble, there is massive confusion about what the end goal actually is. The Kerner source brings up this brilliant analogy. Imagine you walk into a Chipotle and you sit down next to some kids who just bought an ultimate state-of-the-art super printer.
Love this analogy.
It's a machine that can print any design on absolutely any surface. Tumblers, t-shirts, track spikes, vinyl banners, whatever. The advice given to those kids was, do not just pick one single item, like printing track spikes, and build an entire company around it yet.
Because the market is still shifting.
Right. Use the printer as a rapid testing vehicle to see what the market wants. AI right now is exactly like that super printer. It's a rapid testing vehicle. We shouldn't get married to one single use case or one specific app idea just yet because the machine itself is evolving at a breakneck pace.
What's fascinating here is the sheer speed of that evolution. I mean, it isn't advancing linearly, it's advancing exponentially.
Yeah.
To put a concrete metric on it, the source details the progression of the Claude Opus model. Back in December, an advanced model might be able to complete about 5 human hours of work in a single output prompt.
Right. You give it a task, and it does what would take a human 5 hours to do.
Exactly. But by the time Claude Opus 4.6 dropped just a month and a half later, it didn't just double that capability. It went from doing 5 human hours of work to 15 human hours of work in one single output.
Okay, let me stop you there. Because 15 human hours of work is kind of an abstract concept. What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, it means you aren't just asking it to write a simple Python script anymore. It means you're handing it a 200-page code base and saying, hey, find the memory leak causing my application to crash, rewrite the authentication module to fix it, and then generate the user documentation explaining the new changes. Yeah. It does a day and a half of senior-level engineering work in the time it takes you to go get a cup of coffee. And crucially, it does this while maintaining a 50% accuracy threshold for complex, multi-step reasoning tasks.
And that kind of explosive capability brings out a very specific type of skeptic. If you look at tech Twitter, there is this viral sentiment where people are constantly badgering these AI developers, asking like, so what are you even building, bro? You talk a big game about revolution, but what are you actually making?
Oh, the what are you building, bro crowd.
Yeah, them. And our source compares that exact flavor of skepticism to Thomas Edison putting the very first electric lights on a Christmas tree.
Because at the time, the public viewed electricity purely as a decorative novelty. They were looking at a glowing wire and asking, okay, bro, it's a neat decoration for a tree. What are you even building with this?
They literally couldn't see the use case. They completely missed the fact that the glowing wire was the underlying foundational technology that was going to eventually run the entire modern world, like replacing steam power entirely.
Completely oblivious to the paradigm shift.
Exactly. So if Claude Opus 4.6 is the raw, untamed electricity of our generation, how is it actually being harnessed to do work? That leap from raw power to practical application leads us directly into the NVIDIA GTC 2026 keynote and their absolute bombshell software announcement.
Right, we're not talking about the launch of the operating system of the future.
Right.
During the keynote, NVIDIA announced their full architectural support for a piece of software called OpenClaw, which was created by a developer named Peter Steiberger.
And the adoption rate was insane.
I really want to emphasize the sheer, unprecedented scale of this software's adoption. OpenClaw became the most popular open-source project in human history. It surpassed the user adoption record that Linux took over 30 years to build, and OpenClaw did it in just a few weeks.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
It really is. It is quite literally the operating system for agentic computers.
I am going to push back on that term, though. Calling it an operating system feels like incredibly heavy marketing jargon. I mean, when I think of an OS, I think of Windows or Mac OS, a graphical user interface where I can click on folders and drag files around.
Sure, the traditional desktop metaphor.
Right. So if I'm just typing text prompts into OpenClaw, aren't we taking a massive step backward in user experience? Is it really an OS or just a glorified search engine?
It is a true operating system.
Yeah.
Because of how it functions underneath the interface. An operating system's primary job is to manage hardware resources and execute tasks. OpenClaw isn't just a chatbot sitting in a browser window generating text.
Okay.
It translates human intent directly into terminal commands.
Yeah.
It directly accesses your local file systems. It handles complex cron jobs, which are automated, scheduled tasks running in the background.
So it's actually doing the computing chores?
Yeah, exactly. The breakthrough is its ability to decompose a massive, vague prompt into a sequence of logical steps, and then autonomously spawn subagents to go complete those individual steps simultaneously. As NVIDIA phrased it in the keynote, AI has evolved. It went from merely perceiving the world to generating content to reasoning about problems, and now it has crossed the critical threshold into actively doing work.
To make this real for you listening, the Kerner source gave us a brilliant, hyper-practical example. The guest on the show built a locally hosted OpenClaw bot on his Mac, and he named it Gary. Gary operates as his complete digital second brain. But the wild part is, Gary has what the developer describes as a soul.
Now, when he says soul, he is referring to a core structural identity.
Right. It's essentially a master markdown file hidden in the background that gives the agent a permanent identity combined with a persistent long-term memory architecture.
Which is huge for continuity.
Exactly. Gary actually understands the user's personal frameworks. It knows how he specifically handles complex business relationships. It knows how he personally processes failure and rejection.
That's getting incredibly intimate for a piece of software.
It is. It knows his psychological profile so intimately that Gary will preemptively intervene in his daily workflow. It will pause a task and warn him, like, hey, looking at your calendar and the tone of your recent emails, you're taking on way too much work right now. Or you seem to be spiraling based on this Slack conversation. You need to step away from the keyboard.
Wow.
It isn't just a tool. It is actively managing his professional life.
But having a powerful, insightful agent like Gary on your laptop is completely useless if it doesn't have the right environment to operate in.
Yeah.
I mean, the AI is only as good as the data it can perceive.
Here's where it gets really interesting. You can have the smartest AI agent in the world capable of 15 hours of human reasoning, but it hits an absolute brick wall the second it steps into the average corporate environment.
Oh, a total nightmare.
Because the biggest hurdle right now isn't the AI's intelligence, it's data taxonomy. Think about your own computer right now. Think about that downloads folder you have that is just an absolute graveyard of vaguely named PDFs and screenshots from 3 years ago.
Everyone has that folder.
Now multiply that chaos by a Fortune 500 company.
We have to talk about dirty data. Imagine a major corporation with tens of thousands of critical legal contracts, vendor agreements, and financial histories, but they are saved in random network folders.
Just a total mess.
Some are flattened PDFs, some are scanned JPEGs of printed paper, some are ancient Word documents, all with completely inconsistent, chaotic naming conventions like final contract V2, actually final. That is dirty data.
Right, and AI cannot extract value from unstructured garbage. If the digital environment is a mess, the agent is essentially blind.
Exactly.
So how do you fix that? Like if I tell Gary to find a specific liability clause from a vendor contract signed in 2018, how does he read a million messy documents without his underlying language model just completely freezing up from information overload?
Through a highly specific mechanism called RJAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. To understand how it works, think of a vector database not like a traditional filing cabinet, but like a massive 3D map of human concepts.
Okay, a 3D map.
Right. Because an LLM has a finite context window. It can only hold a certain amount of information in its immediate memory at one time. If it tries to read the whole corporate archive at once, it crashes. RJAG bypasses this entirely.
How so?
It doesn't look for the literal word liability. It translates the core concept of your query into mathematical coordinates and instantly teleports to the exact neighborhood of data on that 3D map where that conceptual answer lives.
Oh, that's wild.
It extracts just that single, highly relevant paragraph from billions of tokens of data and feeds only that paragraph into the LLM's context window.
And the corporate world desperately needs this exact rescue mechanism. The source shared this incredible anecdote about corporate executives who know absolutely nothing about this technology.
Which is most of them, frankly.
Right. You have the highest paid executives in the world spending entire days sitting in conference rooms, burning money, debating whether to use the word great or the word amazing in their upcoming SEC earnings call scripts. They are doing entirely manual, agonizing labor.
It's an incredible waste of human capital, especially when an agent can synthesize that strategy perfectly.
Exactly. The source built a solution for this. An automated earnings pipeline. It handles the ingestion of past corporate data, drafts the strategy, workshops the script based on historical success, refines the tone, and exports a final draft.
And how long does that take?
It takes a process that used to burn days of elite executive time and finishes it in 12 hours. The source dropped this perfect analogy. Corporate America right now is acting like someone buying a Ferrari, but they are only driving at 15 miles per hour inside a retirement community.
That is painfully accurate.
These executives don't need to be AI experts. They literally just need to start recording their meetings, running the transcripts through an OpenClaw agent, and extracting the do-outs, basically the action items. Just automating that one task makes you look like an absolute magician in the modern office.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, all of this magic has a hidden physical cost. I mean, the semantic searching through billions of mathematical coordinates in a vector database, the agentic reasoning loops of an OpenClaw bot, the ingestion of massive corporate data pipelines, none of this happens in the cloud.
Because the cloud isn't a real place.
Right, the cloud is just someone else's computer. This requires unimaginable physical compute power. And that physical bottleneck is exactly what NVIDIA shattered at GTC.
Right, because Gary doesn't run on air. He runs on silicon, copper, and massive amounts of electricity.
NVIDIA unveiled the heavy metal making this agentic era possible, the Vera Rubin system.
Yeah.
And the engineering behind it is just staggering. We are talking about a system so powerful it generates an extreme amount of heat, requiring it to be 100% liquid-cooled.
Wait, hold on. You're throwing around terms like liquid-cooled with 45-degree hot water. If a machine is generating so much heat that it's melting standard processors, why on earth are you pumping 45 degrees Celsius water into it?
It sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah, that's over 110 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Why not use freezing cold water like a traditional data center AC unit?
It comes down to the thermodynamics of the hardware. The chips are running so insanely hot, well over 180 degrees, that 45-degree water still provides a massive cooling delta.
Oh, I see.
The brilliance here is that by using warm water, NVIDIA completely removes the need for energy-intensive refrigeration compressors. It takes the massive electrical pressure off the data center's traditional cooling grid. Furthermore, the system is completely cableless.
No cables at all.
Zero. Because of that modular design, an installation that used to take a team of engineers 2 grueling days to set up now takes 2 hours.
2 hours. That's a Saturday morning project to install supercomputer infrastructure. And what is actually powering the logic inside these machines?
The specs are breathtaking. It houses the Grace Blackwell CPU, which utilizes lightning-fast LPDDR5 memory to handle those massive context windows we were just talking about.
Right.
They've integrated their 6th-generation NVLink switch to ferry data between chips and introduced the Groq LP30 system.
Yeah.
But the true holy grail of this keynote is the CPO Spectrum X switch. It uses a revolutionary manufacturing process from TSMC called COUPE technology.
Break the mechanism of that down for me. What does COUPE technology actually do that changes the game?
Normally, data travels as electrical signals down microscopic copper wires inside a chip. Pushing electricity through metal creates friction, which creates heat. There's a physical limit to how fast you can push an electron before the metal literally melts.
Right, the physical speed limit.
COUPE technology bypasses this entirely. It stands for co-packaged optics. It takes the electronic data and translates it directly into photons, particles of light, on the chip itself.
Wait, so it's using light instead of electricity for the data transfer.
Exactly. It removes the friction entirely. The data is now moving at the speed of light, with almost zero heat generation. It is a fundamental revolution in data transfer speed.
And it's not just about crunching numbers in a spreadsheet. It's about what you can visually create when data moves at the speed of light. The keynote highlighted something called DLSS5, which they term neurorendering.
This is where things get trippy.
NVIDIA is officially fusing structured data, which is the hard mathematical ground truth of physics, with generative AI, which is probabilistic computing. They're combining the absolute certainty of real-world physics with the creative hallucination of AI to render virtual worlds and simulations that are perfectly controllable, yet completely hyper-realistic.
But that flawless fusion of physics and hallucination leads us to a very dark edge. Because if we are rendering perfect physics and running it on an operating system like OpenClaw that reasons like a human, how do we know what is real anymore?
And that profound question takes us to our final source from the Tom Bilyeu Show, which breaks down an incredibly revealing moment in internet sociology. There was a viral video circulating recently of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu simply taking a sip of coffee.
Okay, before we go further, we need to make something explicitly clear to the listeners.
Yes, absolutely. Listeners, please hear this. Our goal here is not to take any political stance on the geopolitical conflicts involving Israel, Iran, or Gaza. We are not endorsing any nation's actions or viewpoints.
Right. The sources themselves are using this purely as an objective case study in digital sociology and wartime propaganda. We are strictly reporting impartially on their analysis.
Exactly. What we are hyper-focused on is the mass psychology of the internet's reaction. Because the internet collectively violently decided this totally mundane video was an AI deepfake. People were analyzing it frame by frame like the Zapruder film.
It was mass hysteria.
They claimed he had 6 fingers, they claimed the foam on the coffee didn't move realistically with the liquid, and they claimed his pocket zipper magically vanished into thin air.
But when you actually break down the mechanics of the video, the mundane truth reveals itself. The expert in the clip explains that the supposed 6th finger was just a perfectly normal anatomical part of the human palm called the hypothenar eminence, catching the light weirdly.
Just a shadow, basically.
Yeah. When forensic experts ran the video through a military-grade deepfake detector, it came back with a 0.1% chance of being AI. It was a completely real video. And that weird pocket anomaly. It was just the basic physics of his hand snagging on a metal zipper, tension building up in the fabric, and then suddenly releasing, creating a blur frame.
So what does this all mean? If the video is provably, factually real, why did millions of people desperately want to prove it was a deepfake?
This raises an important question about the current state of information warfare. The source theorizes that we have completely transitioned into a new era of conflict perception. The Vietnam War was considered the first living room war, where televised, visceral images fundamentally changed public opinion. What we are living through right now is the first social media war. The gravity of world affairs has been reduced to bread and circus.
It's gamified entertainment.
It's worse than entertainment. It's a multiplayer video game designed specifically for algorithmic rage bait. The terrifying part is the sheer misallocation of human attention. Millions of people are spending their energy fighting over the physics of a coffee cup's foam.
Well, the actual world burns.
Exactly. And while they are completely distracted by this microscopic, meaningless anomaly, Actual massive geopolitical shifts are happening completely unnoticed. The source points out that at the exact same time the coffee video was going globally viral, China was surrounding Taiwan with unprecedented military drills. Almost no one on social media paid attention.
And this gamification has real-world kinetic consequences. The source highlights a deeply unsettling reality. While everyone was distracted by deepfake accusations, a U.S. TikToker was found to be giving the exact pinpoint geographic coordinates of the Rongbring power station in Ashkelon directly to the Iranian regime via their platform.
Unbelievable.
You have everyday citizens actively participating in live geopolitical targeting for views and engagement, treating it like a team sport, while the rest of the public is arguing about whether a video is rendered by AI.
It demonstrates that the technology doesn't even need to be fake to shatter our reality. The mere existence of tools like Sora or DLSS5 means that the public now has a built-in excuse to dismiss any truth they find politically inconvenient as AI-generated.
This has been an absolute whiplash of a deep dive. On one hand, you have the opportunity of a lifetime. You, listening right now, have the chance to step into that massive gap on the dot chart. You can choose to move from being a passive gray dot to a builder in the red dot.
It's right there for the taking.
You can spin up your own local Gary on OpenClaw. You can organize the chaotic taxonomy of your digital life. You can walk into your corporate office tomorrow, utilize R to parse through decades of dirty data, and essentially become a magician, doing 12 hours of complex executive work in 12 minutes.
But on the exact same hand, the very tools powering this incredible leap forward, the sheer computational violence of the Vera Rubin system, the brilliant reasoning leaps of Opus 4.6, they are permanently fracturing our collective ability to agree on what is fundamentally real.
It's an absolute superpower and a permanent blindfold handed to us at the exact same time.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder as you go about your day. If OpenClaw agents truly become our primary interface with the digital world, if a hyper-intelligent bot named Gary is managing our emails, curating our daily news feeds, organizing our schedules, and fighting our digital battles.
Yeah.
And those agents are powered by the exact same generative technology that makes millions of people question the basic physics of a coffee cup. How long until our agents start seamlessly correcting reality for us before we even see it? How long until your personal AI, designed to protect your peace and productivity, simply decides to smooth over the rough, uncomfortable edges of the world, leaving you completely unaware of what ground truth actually looks like?